Everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm pleased to be joined by Lee to get Arsenal's perspective ahead of tomorrow night's game. Lee, let's kick off with a simple one. How's your season going?
It's not been too bad. It could be a lot worse, but it could be slightly better. I felt on Saturday against Liverpool there was stages of that game when I was very very impressed with us. But there is still that what can I say, like bit of vulnerability to us, but listen, we rode the storm and come away with a point, which isn't a bad thing in itself at Liverpool, But overall, the season's been very, very good. Not playing as well as what we did last season, but definitely more in control of games. So, yeah, I can't be too disappointed.
Obviously, you didn't do it last season, so the big question is, will you do it this season? Do you think you'll get that Premier League title?
Do you know what? I think we've got a better chance this season. I know it sounds silly. I never really fancied us last season because I felt that we wasn't probably defensively strong enough. There were games last season when it was a little bit erratic, even though it was fantastic to watch. But we'd concede a lot of chances, not so many goals, but even when we played West Ham last season, I think you had about 3 or 4 very very good chances, and even in the return game at the London Stadium, give you too many chances. This season we've cut down on that, and I think that's where we're I feel in a better position to maybe win it. Listen, I think it's going to be tough because obviously you've got Liverpool, and of course Manchester City. It'd be really interesting to see what happens with Manchester City today, because they've been away now, they're refreshed. Just see what they do, but it's still going to be tough. But I do think we've got a very very good chance.
Do you think you'll do it?
If a certain, I won't say him because it's your ex-player, but if he stays fit and Saliba, I think we will.
Interesting. Right then, Arteta's obviously spent a lot of money there. A couple of 8th-place finishes. You got back into Champions League, a title race last season, certainly a title race this season. Does it feel like there's now stability at your club and that you're at the top and you're going to stay there for at least a few seasons now?
Yeah, I do think that. I think that because of the players, the squad, the age of the squad, the talent of the squad, if you look at most of those players, 22 to 24, I think our oldest player, I see this the other day, was David Raya at 28, So I think that we're going to be around for a few years. Whether we can win a lot of things, I think when you look back at, say, someone like Liverpool, they only won the Premier League. I say only, they only won it once, and the Champions League. But they had an unbelievable squad and team at that stage. But you're up against Manchester City, so it's going to be very, very difficult. So, but I do think for the next few years, I think that we're going to be there and thereabouts. But whether we get the trophies that are on offer as much as I don't know, you know what I mean. But listen, I think from a point of view, I was talking, funny enough, to a couple of family members yesterday. We was talking about it. A couple of years ago, we was embarrassed to say, "Oh, like Arsenal are in with a title challenge or whatever," and you knew as soon as the season kicked off, you weren't even playing for the title. You was, it was like top 4 at the very best. Now I've gone into definitely this season thinking that we've got a chance of challenging for the title, and so you have to give the manager credit for that. And we've kept faith in him when there was some dark times. Look, listen, I've made no secret. I thought he was very very fortunate to keep his job when he did. But in saying that, the last couple of seasons, I don't think you can really fault him that much. Really, I think he's done fantastically well for us.
Well, I'm interested to know from an Arsenal's point of view what the expectations on Arteta really, because obviously you've spent a lot of money in the last 2 or 3 summers now. You've spent a considerable sum of money, assembled a really good squad. Like you said, it's really young, but there's fantastic talent throughout. You've got a good academy there, a crop of good youngsters that might break through at Arsenal. So there's a lot of things going well. And I don't want to call it your golden era, but it does feel like clubs go through this spell where everything's just right, and then you have to sort of go through change and transition before you can challenge again, which Chelsea are arguably going through at the minute. So you need to capitalise on that. So is there any pressure on Arteta to deliver these big trophies, or not? Is it not there?
No, listen, there's got to be pressure on him. Arsenal Football Club. So we should be he should be under pressure, and I think that he is. I think that this is an opportunity to to try and win a couple of trophies. There's no God given right that you should win every trophy. It's going to be very difficult when you've got the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City going on there. But I think we're in a very, very good position where we're challenging two. Manchester United have slipped off a little bit. Look at Newcastle this season. Have slipped off a little bit as well. When I really thought that they'd be in the mix this season. So there's always going to be two teams like Aston Villa that are going to surprise. Tottenham are going to be. I think there and thereabouts this season. That's a surprise when you look at what was going on in the summer. But I think that Liverpool very, very strong. Manchester City. But if there's an opportunity to win it, it's going to be, I think, in this year and the next year. But yeah, I think that he is under pressure. Which is brought on by the success that you're doing. Brought on by what you done last season and what goes on this season. Listen, if Arsenal fail again this season, questions will be asked, and quite rightly so. But from my point of view at this moment in time. I'm quite happy with the job that he's doing. I think that we are pushing, and I don't think that if we don't win the title, I don't think it's because of Mikel Arteta. I think it'd be down to probably that we're lacking in one or two areas, and the other teams are just that little bit stronger than us.
You were reluctant to name him earlier, and I think some of the subscribers are going to be like, don't even utter the words Gio. But Declan Rice, how's he got on at the Emirates thus far?
Been sensational, I have to say. I don't really want to rub it in. I've got a few West Ham people said how good he was, and I don't want to patronise West Ham fans by saying I didn't realise how good he was. I always knew he was a good player when I was watching him at West Ham in England. But what has impressed me more is the consistency. 8 out of 10 is a poor performance for him. It really is. It's a poor performance. But he's been fantastic for us. This game coming up for us is a worry because of Declan Rice, and I'll tell you why. Because West Ham are going to be up for this. They're going to be up for it. They don't ever want to lose to Arsenal now because of Declan Rice. So it makes this game a little bit tougher than perhaps what it has been over the years. It's always been a tough game, as you know. But I think that there's a little bit of added spice into this now. I get. After seeing and watching Declan for this last sort of 4 or 5 months, why there is a little bit of bitterness towards Arsenal now, because you realise how good he is.
Yeah, bar Declan. Any other? If West Ham fans are watching this and they've not really seen much of Arsenal this season, which players should they be looking out for that's in good nick?
Well, I think that Jesus is a player that you have to be very, very wary of. Obviously, like the usual suspects, Saka. The one player that I think that has been letting us down a little bit is Martinelli, but he's going to have to come good at some stage. So and it could be on Thursday. Who knows? But I think a big miss for us is going to be, dare I say it now, Kai Havertz. He's been absolutely brilliant for us over this last month or so. So for him to be out of the side, I think 3 months ago West Ham fans would have laughed if we'd have said that. But now I think it's a big loss for us. I don't know what we're going to do in that midfield. It could go one or two ways, but I think that they're the guys that will cause you a few problems. Listen, if Jesus, Martinelli, and Saka click, there's not many teams that can stop that.
From your team to my team, then, what do you make of West Ham this season?
Inconsistent, but on their day as good as anybody, and quietly but surely have got up that table really unnoticed in the last few weeks. I didn't realise they were 6. I said, oh, blimey, West Ham are 6 now. They've been going about their business quietly. Beat us in the cup earlier on in the season. What worries me about West Ham, and I'll be really honest with you, is that you don't know what you're going to get. They've got some very, very good players. You've got some good players that on their day, if they turn up, can cause problems for anybody. But, you know, like they have on a few occasions this season, not turned up, i.e. Fulham and Liverpool, like, you know. So I don't know what's going on with David Moyes. I think that there's a debate going on from the outside looking in. I can't believe it, because I think he's done a fantastic job. And when you look at it, and I'll be honest, like that, you know, stifled Manchester United made Manchester United look very, very ordinary. And another team in Claret and Blue played them last night, and Manchester United looked well beaters in the second half. They never looked like that against West Ham. You know, West Ham controlled that game from start to finish. So it'll be. Listen, I think tomorrow, you know, David Moyes will probably go in a little bit defensively and be a tough nut to crack. And listen, West Ham have always done okay at the Emirates. Sometimes haven't got the results that they deserve, but they've been always a difficult opponent. So I'm looking forward to it, because it's been a few days since the last time. But in another way, I'm not going to be going there saying this is a nailed on 3 points. I think we've got to be cautious.
You spoke about how we've got some good players there. Is there any players in particular that stands out for you in West Ham?
Well, you know, Paqueta, I think it's quality. I've got to say that. Like, I watched him the other day. Some of the things, that pass he done for Bowen, like, you know what I mean? Come on, that's world class. That ain't just class, that's world class. Bowen's been fantastic this season for you. He really has, like, you know. And I think you've got to be a little bit wary of Ward-Prowse in the midfield. I think, you know, from set pieces and things like that. Just maybe dip form in the last couple of games, but I think that you know, why he isn't in the England squad is beyond me. And Kudus, by the way, has started to really look a player. I think you ain't going to see the best of him until next year. I think, like, you know, when he gets those consistent levels up. But, like, you know, there's players there, you know, that can hurt us, and we've got to be on our game. So I think West Ham have really recruited well with the money that you got this season. Bought some very, very good players, and listen, I don't want to come over as patronising and whatever. After seeing what I've seen with Declan Rice, for you guys to lose him and to be where you are, I think that's a massive plus for the manager and the recruitment and everybody at West Ham, you know, because he's one hell of a player that you lost there, and you know, you've recruited well, and I think that West Ham have done well.
A couple of predictions from you before we talk about the game. Then, where do you think West Ham will finish in the league, and also do you think we can win the Europa League this season?
I think you've got a good chance, because you've got the experience of last season. I think you come close. I do think you come close. If I'll be really honest about it, in Europe, maybe a striker, you know, that isn't it. I know you've got Antonio's out at the minute, but someone that can just, you know, those tight games when you play against some of the top teams in Europe, because it is another step up in the European chart. But I think that you come close. I really do. I think that there's a little bit of experience there. Moyes has done it, and I think that I would be very surprised if you don't get to the semi-finals or beyond. Very surprised. As far as the league concerned, I think sixth, seventh, eighth, from in and around that, depending what happens over the next few weeks and all that, like, you know. But I think that a Europa League spot by the league is definitely on for West Ham as well.
I would take that, Lee. I'd be very, very happy about it. Hope you're correct with that prediction. Like, taking a look at the game at the Emirates, how do you expect this one to go?
Tough. I think it's going to be tough. I don't see much in it. Maybe 2-1, 3-1. And when I say 3-1, I think it could be 2-1 and maybe then, like, I think maybe we might get one on the counter attack, like a bit later on. But I think a little bit like last season. I think it's going to be a little bit like that. You know, it's going to be nervy at times. But yeah, I think West Ham are always an organised side under David Moyes, and we'll find it very, very hard. But I just think that we'll just sneak it. Well, you know, I hope so anyway, of course. But I think it's going to be a tough game for us.
Well, Lee, thank you very much, because I know you've got a really busy day today and you're off to visit family. So thank you for taking time out. Really appreciate it. And you guys at home have enjoyed it, please drop a like on the video by clicking the thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. All the links to Lee's social media will be in the description below if you want to see and hear more from him. But until next time, look after yourself and catch you in a bit.